Cuphead is known for its insane difficulty, and I fell in love with the fact that it's a really, really hard game. But eventually, I got a bit too good at the game, and it wasn't really a challenge to me anymore. So how do I fix this? I started doing Cuphead challenge runs, and for the past year, I've been making videos on them. But now, I need a new challenge. The challenge to end all challenges. Today, or more accurately, over the course of a month, I will be completing the hardest Cuphead mod ever made. Cuphead Master Quest. So in case you're confused on what Master Quest is, let me break it down for you. First, Master Quests boost all boss HP. It boosts the boss speed, it adds new attacks, and it completely changes certain phases of a boss. On top of this, it nerfs certain weapons. For example, the charge shot is not nearly as powerful as it is in the main game. These nerfs don't just affect the shots either. Charms are also nerfed. For example, Smoke Bomb doesn't take you nearly as far as it once did. With these changes and nerfs, it really made me adapt to each and every boss, giving me a whole new perspective of Cuphead. Now, let me take you on this journey that took me over a month of my life to complete, where we start on April 20th, 2024, where I went live with the title, Streaming Cuphead Master Quest for 12 hours, or until we reach 500 subscribers. Please enjoy this 500 subscriber special. Cuphead Master Quest starts like every other Cuphead playthrough. We played the tutorial, grab the coin, talk to Mac to get 3 bonus coins, and do the first running gun to collect 5 coins. Now, sorry to disappoint everyone, but running guns are not changed in the mod, so I won't really be going over them in any detail at all. Also, another thing I want to point out is the timer. This is not a time challenge, it's just that during the first recording, it was a part of a 12-hour stream, so the timer's just there to signify the 12 hours, not for the actual video. But with all that out of the way, let's go to our first boss, the Root Pack. With the roundabout and spread shot equipped, as well as Smoke Bomb for the charm, we load into the Root Pack and immediately notice one thing, that the potato is shooting way faster than normal, with his final rounds of dirt being near impossible to dodge. On my first attempt, I felt pretty good considering I was able to get all the way to the onion, until I seen just how fast his tears fell. These tears were significantly faster compared to expert mode, and on top of that, the boss has increased health, making it so I have to stay on this phase for even longer than normal. Eventually, after being tired of being destroyed, I equipped the heart charm as the Smoke Bomb nerfs were too much for me to handle at the time, and the extra HP will definitely come in handy. Eventually, with enough headache, we make it to the carrot, or in other words, the final phase. The first thing I noticed is that there is a lot more carrot minions, and his I-beams shoot way faster than normal. The main strategy I used consisted of running back and forth avoiding the I-beams and hoping my roundabout shots would destroy all the homing carrots, which worked pretty well, until it didn't. So after that super close attempt, but a mere 10 minutes later, we beat the Root Pack, and it's our first Master Quest boss off the list. 1 down, 18 to go.
Holy cow.
Oh. Welcome to Goopy. You may have noticed a slight time jump in the recording. That's because we tried Ribby and Croaks for a while, but we weren't really getting anywhere. So what's new with Goopy? On the surface, nothing much, other than him just moving faster. Until he does his super jump attack. In this, where he jumps off screen, so I have no clue where he's going to land, this one singular attack was the whole reason I didn't do Goopy as the first boss. Because it is honestly really hard to predict where he's going to land. And I genuinely had such a hard time avoiding this attack, and even on the attempts where I was able to get past it, on his second phase, the moments where you get to dash under him were so tight, I consistently got hit because I dashed at a wrong time. These seemingly small changes actually turned Goopy into a fairly difficult boss, and I'm not even done yet. On the few attempts I was able to get to his final phase, you'll notice these mini Goopy dudes running around. Yeah, those ones. These guys are originally from the first running gun, but the creator of the mod decided to add 2 of them into Goopy's final phase, which doesn't seem too bad because you can just kill them, right? Wrong! These little guys, when shot, stay down for a couple of seconds then immediately get right back up, which made the whole boss super annoying. Luckily, Goopy's final phase can never really be made that difficult, so once we got there, we were pretty good to kill the boss.
No way! Why did I have to open my big dumb mouth? Why? No!
So going back in time this time, because I forgot to mention it, but we go and pick up Super 1, and the mausoleums are significantly harder compared to the main game. The difficulty increase mainly comes from the amount of ghosts that they throw at you all at once and how fast they move. It's hard to break down a strategy I had. I kind of just kept on doing it over and over till I got lucky, but, you know, that's about the best advice I can give to anybody. That's all him. Thank you. I unlocked a new super. Okay. Well, after getting Super 1 and failing Hilda Berg for about an hour or so, our next stop was at Ribby and Croaks, everyone's favorite Cuphead duo. Well, they're not my favorite anymore, because holy cow. These guys were definitely the first big roadblock of the challenge. And don't worry guys, there's going to be a bigger and harder roadblock in the future. So let's break down Ribby and Croaks. Phase 1, Croaks shoots out probably double the amount of fireflies as normal, and Ribby constantly chucks his flaming fist attack at you. For these attacks, I would try and stay against the left wall while using the roundabout to take out most of the flies and deal slow chip damage to Ribby and Croaks. I found that if I was able to avoid the flies, I would get hit by the fist, and if I focused too much on avoiding the fist, the flies would pile up on me, so I would just spam the roundabout and hope it would work out. Another thing that helped me a lot with getting over the fist was jumping over the first fist, crouching for the second, and letting the third glide right over me. I wouldn't even attempt to go for parries, as I just thought it was an unnecessary risk and would often end up getting hit. Phase 2 was a phase that luckily didn't last for very long, but that doesn't make it any less difficult. In this phase, I actually found myself going dead silent most of the time just to go pure focus mode. Phase 2 is normal in the fact that Ribby cycles through his fist attack and energy ball attack, while Croaks blows you back with his fan. But what you also might notice is the sheer speed that Ribby sends out his fist attack, making it near impossible to dodge, and you have to have perfect timing to avoid it. And with his energy beam attack, you're also going to notice that he sends out 3 times the amount of energy balls as normal. But after phase 2 comes phase 3, by far the hardest phase, but it is the final phase. Ribby and Croaks' final phase starts with them spraying coins at a speed that is so hard to manage until you eventually hit the parryable lever. This lever spins the slot machine and you get one of 3 symbols: snakes, tigers, or bulls. In normal Cuphead, snakes is the easiest, as they're just regular platforms that you can jump on. Bulls are normally the second easiest, as you just have to avoid a little bit of fire and it's nothing too crazy. Tigers can be really extreme because it's like snakes, except they have bouncing balls going up on each platform, making you have to dash through them. But this was just in regular Cuphead. In Master Quest, it flipped everything. Bulls remain the easiest. Tigers, definitely the second easiest. Snakes become ungodly difficult. The speed at which the snakes are shot out are so fast that you're just lucky to land on a platform. And the speed increases the longer that Ribby and Croaks are doing the attack, making it even more difficult. Numerous attempts where I would get here with so much HP just to lose it all in that one little phase. I spent over 2 hours on this boss, but eventually we hit a silver lining. In the middle of the boss fight, we didn't beat it. We did something else. We hit 500 subscribers. And this was just amazing. I'll let you see the clip so you can see how happy I was, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers. Don't get hit coming out of it, that's nothing to worry. Oh, wait! I'll pop back in soon, I gotta see the cake. We should 500! Oh, and after this attempt, we gotta go bust down with that cake. I was at the supermarket yesterday, picking up some groceries. My dogs are trying to break in because they smell the food. And here we are. This is our cookies and cream, deep and delicious cake. Thank you, I appreciate it. After that amazing moment, it gave me the strength I needed to keep attempting Ribby and Croaks until we finally had this. Yes! Oh, we did it! That was like a 5-minute attempt. Enough celebrations. It's Hilda Berg time, our first plain boss of the run. Hilda is one of those bosses that you can't make harder outside of just increasing the boss's speed, health, and a couple more minor things. But they did one thing that made it pretty difficult. Normally on Hilda Berg, you fight the bull and then the twins or the angel. But in Master Quest, you have to fight the bull, the twins, and the angel all in a row. Not only do you have this, Hilda Berg has a total of 8 phases in Master Quest, which is crazy. This is the equivalent of doing every single King Dice boss except for Mr. Chimes. The twins, bulls, and everything in between didn't add any extra challenge outside of just being faster and taking longer to defeat. All of my difficulty came from the angel. This singular phase destroyed me every single time. Simply put, the angel shoots his arrow along with 3 homing stars that track onto you. These stars have a crap ton of HP to the point where they don't even die to a super. They just keep on coming at you. Most of the time, I wouldn't even have them destroyed before the next set comes. I would just wait for them to de-home from me so I can finally get some damage in. Not only did I have to deal with this, Hilda kept on sending out her mini planes at a higher rate than normal and added more green planes into the mix, which have a spread attack, making this phase a complete bullet hell. Okay, going on the final phase, there's something I need to address. For some reason, I don't have the footage of me defeating the boss, but trust me, I did, because I wouldn't be able to continue the game if I didn't have this boss beaten, so I'm sorry about that. With that out of the way, here's the final phase. The only key difference between Master Quest and Expert Mode is just that there's more UFOs. Everything else was generally the same, aside from the boss just being faster. And as long as we remember that the pale UFOs, you have to bait out the laser, and the colored ones, you have to just fly straight through, we didn't really have too much trouble. Since I don't have the footage of me getting the knockout, here is me dying on a really close attempt.
What hit me?
Cagney Carnation, the final boss of Inkwell Isle 1. It's so cool to think that we're 11 minutes into the video, the script is already 2,000 words long, and yet we're only on the final boss of Isle 1. Never mind, it's kind of sad when I put it all like that. Cagney Carnation! What's new with her? Well, not much, except that's a lie. Cagney Carnation is our first boss with a new attack. Normally, Cagney will close her hands and pull out the homing acorn attack or the slipper boomerang attack, you know, the boring ones. But now, she can pull out a random cloud that goes towards you with some text on it and then just stops. Yeah, that's the attack. But at least they changed some other stuff with her. Wait, no, they didn't. They kind of just made her final phase a little bit faster. She shoots the pellets quicker, has a lot more health. Yeah, Cagney's kind of lame in the mod. She's just same old Cagney. She's got boosted health. That's cool. I actually beat her first try after Hilda Berg, which I thought that was pretty cool. It was a nice little boost of confidence. I even got an S rank on it, which was sick. So, yeah, sorry, there's just really not much to say about Cagney. It's just same old with her.
And if we're doing it for a very long time, we beat it. That's an S rank. What's that skill level? 1, 2, 3. French, bitch. S.
But now we can go on to Isle 2, where things start to pick up. We are starting strong with some Baroness Von Bon Bon, who actually has a couple of changes, unlike our last boss. The first phase of the boss is 1 for 1, the same as normal, which is the regular gobstopper. The second phase gives us the candy corn mini-boss. On this phase, the corn moves much faster than it normally does and spawns significantly more minions. And the jelly beans that normally run on the bottom of the screen, they can now jump as well, which disrupts the whole fight. The gumball machine fires a boatload of gumballs for us to dodge, but he has a super low amount of HP, so it's never really that hard as long as I get past the initial gumballs. Instead of going on to Bon Bon's final phase after defeating 3 minions, we were actually forced to fight all 5 of her possible minions, and I actually thought that this was a super cool way to make the boss a little bit more difficult in Master Quest, so we have to fight our 4th minion. The waffle stays easy as normal, and the only time I really ran into challenge during the mini bosses was just in the cupcake. I feel like it's important to say that every time you do the boss, the mini bosses are always in the same order. Gobstopper's always first, Cupcake's always last, and everything in between. So all of my difficulty from the cupcake mainly came from its constant slams and splash damage it would do. It would make it super difficult to avoid his attack because I'd have to avoid the stuff on the ground and the jelly beans jumping all at the same time. I died here a couple of times, but once we got through it, it wasn't super hard. The core of the final phase stayed the same, but the heads that Baroness shot out were way more aggressive, and there was a constant of 2 heads on screen at all times. The main strat was just move around at all times and use the parryable wheel whenever I got the chance to. I tried to stay on top of the screen the most on the floating piece of candy and just dashing around the heads whenever I had the chance. But with that done, that's our first contract of Isle 2.
There's no reason to lose. I wanted that! Boom! Let's go!
Back on the plane for Dijimmy the Great. Dijimmy, I feel like I honestly didn't get to spend enough time on him. As much as I don't overly like plane battles, his was really fun, especially with the changes that the developers made. As we all know, Dijimmy has 3 possible attacks he can do at the start of his fight. The ghost knives, the cats, and the jewelry. In Master Quest, Dijimmy does all 3 of those attacks in the order that I just said them in. They're pretty basic for the most part, but I can say with confidence that they are definitely sped up, but not too bad overall. In theory, you can technically skip the jewel attack if you can deal enough damage during the first 2 attacks, but I never had this happen to me. His second phase, in every single mode, no matter what, is super easy, except for Master Quest. In Master Quest, this is made so much more difficult just by one simple thing. And that simple thing is the health boost. The totem poles take 2 bombs to break versus the regular 1 bomb that they take in normal Master Quest. Now this doesn't feel like a big deal, it's only 1 extra bomb, but it's not 1 extra bomb. It's double the amount of bombs that I would have had to normally do. I might make it look easy in the video, but that's because I'm not showing you all the times that I messed up and ended up getting hit by these totems. The third phase of Dijimmy is actually easy no matter what. All you do is sit at the top middle with bombs, and you're almost immune to all of his attacks. But sadly, the same can't be said for the puppet phase. As soon as we enter the puppet, I use a super, and we get absolutely bombarded with bullets. These bullets quickly melt my HP, bringing me from 3 to nothing in seconds. It's pretty clear that this phase is going to be a big challenge for me. Eventually, after many deaths, we had another chance at the puppet. Coming in with 3 HP and hitting some beautiful parries off rip, I felt really good about this attempt. I soared high and low, avoiding everything until we finally met Dijimmy's final phase. The phase is mostly the same as regular Cuphead, besides a few key things. One is, I know that you've definitely noticed that the pyramids have 8 lasers coming out of them instead of the regular 4. And second, his circle forehead attack, some of them are parryable, which I actually thought was super cool of the developers to change. All I needed to do was just keep my calm, focus on the lasers, and prioritize keeping myself alive over anything else. After finding out the bottom left was mostly a safe spot, the stars aligned, and we got this.
That's a safe spot. The bottom left is a safe spot. Yes! If I lost there, I would have got really upset.
Grim Matchstick. The start of when I started doing some off-stream work. It was at this point in the challenge when I decided that if I were to only play Master Quest while I was streaming, I would never get this challenge done. So for the remainder of the video, some of the reactions might be a little bit lackluster, but don't worry, there's still some great reactions for when I kill a boss. And you also might hear some of my friends' voices if I was in a VC or anything with them. But enough of that, let's get back to the boss. Now, this is the boss that I'm guessing everyone thinks is going to be a massive roadblock, but it's not too bad. Grim is loved by everybody with his unique arena and sporadic attacks. What's there not to love about Grim? He's also one of those bosses that actually had a lot changed about him in Master Quest. Immediately you'll notice that the I-beam attacks move faster and each ring is more spread out, making them larger as a whole. Another thing you have noticed is that Grim has a middle fireball that he shoots out with his big breath attack or just the single breath attack. This middle fireball stops me from just letting the 2 others pass around me and forces me to jump over them every time. The first phase wasn't awful, we just let the lobber do all the work, occasionally using the roundabout for more chip damage, just as you normally would. Something else that I thought was super cool in this fight is that you should take note of the clouds that we stand on. Normally, the clouds move away from the boss in regular mode and towards the boss in expert mode. In Master Quest, the clouds always move towards the boss, no matter what. So yeah, this means that when it's time to go to phase 2, the clouds swap direction so that they're heading in the direction of the boss. This genuinely makes the boss so much harder because it makes the lobber way more inconsistent with its damage because I keep on having to turn around to jump to a new cloud. And being so focused on hopping clouds to make sure I don't fall off the arena, it doesn't help because I also need to worry about the jumping fire people at the bottom of the screen who seem to have significantly better aim than in regular Cuphead. The final phase, which we are forced to face on 1 HP, we naturally use a super right away, because in this phase, it's pretty hard to get one of those off. This phase, Grim will shoot his big orange fireballs, and if you accidentally shoot them, they will split into 4 smaller fireballs going in all 4 cardinal directions. Whenever they would split, I always noticed myself getting hit by them, like every time. Because of this, I made the choice to only shoot the lobber when it was 100% clear that I'm not going to split a fireball. and I would only use EX attacks while he's using his flamethrower attack. In perfect honesty, this boss only took around an hour, which is pretty good time for Master Quest. So here's the most lackluster celebration of the entire run. So, sorry about that.
No.
Whoa.
I thought it was like really worth it to do this.
Welcome to the part of the challenge where I started to question, do I have the skills to beat this mod? Beppi the Clown took every single ounce of confidence I had in myself, then tore it up right in front of me while I stood there jaw dropped. Beppi has never been considered an overly difficult boss, but I can't even put into words what this boss made me go through. Over the course of 18 days, multiple hour-long sessions every single day with over 16 hours of failed attempt footage, just trying to beat this boss. I can't stress enough the hell that Beppi took me through. Just to give you guys an idea of how long it took me, on screen right now is every single recording session I had of attempts on Beppi and how long I spent attempting him, getting absolutely nowhere. During the days that I would spend on Beppi, spending hours and getting literally nowhere, I actually contemplated ending the challenge. But deep down, I knew that that was never really an option. Now it's time to break down Beppi the Clown and show you why he took me such an insane amount of time to beat. Phase 1, Beppi moves much faster than on expert mode, and he gives almost no warning before charging at you in his go-kart. Another thing is that the top of the screen where Beppi sends his ducks, yeah, he's now sending significantly more of them. And there's way more that are holding the light bulbs just to add even more challenge to this phase. As if this wasn't enough, once I shoot a duck, it stays spinning for a few seconds, and then just fully regenerates itself, ready to get in my way once again. And these are only the changes in the first phase. Beppi's balloon phase did not get any easier, and it's actually the phase I single-handedly got hit the most on. And the main reason all boils down to RNG. Beppi's dogs spawn in such random places and at very different times. So there would be so many moments where I would just get unlucky and be in the wrong place and get hit. This made it especially hard to use supers, as if I used them at the wrong time, as soon as it's over, I would just immediately get hit. To counteract this, I would only use supers when I was in the middle of the screen. Beppi's train also has more passengers on it, which cuts down my space from moving even more. On Beppi's third phase, we face his horses. The way that these guys work is that there's a green horse, which shoots 3 horseshoes that follow a wave-like pattern, while the yellow horse shoots a straight line of horseshoes which rain down on you. The easiest of the two is the yellow horse by far, as sometimes I can just stand directly underneath it provided that the train wasn't there to hit me. Speaking of the train, there is now a passenger in every other seat, which normally doesn't happen until the final phase. Overall, this phase isn't the hardest, as long as the train didn't come at bad times where I found myself getting hit the most when it was the green horse and the train combo. After genuinely 6 hours of never making it to the final phase, we finally had our first crack on it. And this phase probably has the most changed about it. As you'll notice, when I step on a platform, it turns red and then shortly disappears, meaning that I can't just sit on platforms and wait while the train's underneath me. And the train also has 0 free spaces on it, meaning that if I fall, I am guaranteed to get hit at least once. When Beppi uses his minion attack, instead of each minion shooting 1 ball at me, each of the minions now shoot 1 ball that splits into 2 and goes in 2 different directions. I was stuck here for days, unable to beat the final phase, until it came to me. You see, this whole video, I've been playing Cuphead like it was expert mode, and just dodging attacks whenever I could, when what I should be doing is finding what's new in Master Quest and using it to help me. Similar to when I found the safe spot in Dijimmy, Beppi also has a safe spot to his boss. You see, even though the baseball's now split, they still lock onto you like normal. So in theory, as long as you're in a perfectly straight line from all of the minions, the balls will just go right past you. The problem is, where can I get in a perfectly straight line, considering that the platforms are always moving? Well, the answer is not on the platforms. If you stand in the very bottom left corner, the minions will lock onto you, shoot, and the balls will just miss, and you can deal damage while doing this. So all I have to do is drop down, kill 1, maybe 2 minions depending on where they spawn, and then just sit on the left wall spamming the roundabout. And with a bit of patience and practice, this started to work, and I was getting attempts where I was lasting for so long in the final phase. But it was never enough. I needed to focus. Almost all of my attempts I would do while on call with my friends because it helped me stay calm and not get too nervous. And as I got closer to beating the boss, I wouldn't even say a word. All of this combined, lots of attempts and a little bit of luck sprinkled in, we had this.
Kill. Look how fast he is.
Apes together is strong.
Kill. Kill. She's growing.
Oh!
He beat
I
it!
got it!
He beat it!
Nice.
After hours, days, weeks, I finally did it. I finally conquered Beppi. And that single attempt took 4.5 minutes. But don't worry, the video's not over yet. There's still a lot to do and a lot more difficulty. Welcome to Wally Warbles, the boss that my friend Pilkey told me would be quite a challenge. The boss starts like normal, with the only key difference being the fact that all of his projectiles are faster. In the second phase, he introduces us to a real fast attack, as when he shoots his bullets or eggs, if you're not already in the right position to avoid them, you're getting hit. His feather attack isn't easy either, as there are way more feathers and they are moving much faster. Only break I get in this is the fact that some of the feathers are now parryable, allowing me to get some extra supers. The third phase versus Wally's son, he has a sizable amount more eggs floating around him, which not only damage us, but they stop him from taking damage as they block the bullets. I never made a proper strategy for this phase, other than that sometimes using the bomb shot because it deals splash damage, which would go through the eggs and hit the boss. We kinda were just forced to take it slow and get through it, but we got it down eventually. The final phase actually only had a few things changed about it, but boy did they affect the game a lot. The biggest thing is that Wally's trash attack, where he throws trash in the air and it falls down on you, yeah, those now leave the screen, so you can't see where they're gonna fall down or when they're gonna fall. Another little difference is just that the heart attack shoots an extra set of bullets with it. Nothing too crazy. I was really scared coming into this boss, and I was even really worried that it was just gonna be another Beppi. But for a boss that only took an hour and a half, we made sure to have a very big celebration.
Yes! Oh my god, we did it! Oh my god, I was so nervous! I was so nervous. If I died there, I would've got so mad. I probably would end the stream. Holy god. Oh my god.
Briney Beard is easily one of, if not my least favorite boss in Cuphead. It's not because it's too hard or it has poor design, it's simply because it's just super damn boring. I mean, the boss doesn't move, it has the same boring attacks that he uses over and over. The only interesting part is the barrel at the top of the screen that drops on you every now and then. But Master Quest made it tolerable. Master Quest didn't give it any new attacks, it didn't even change the gameplay that much. All the mod did was make the boss fight faster. It made things 100 times more fun. The increased speeds of all projectiles and the shorter cooldown of the barrel drop, it just worked out for the boss so well and made it way more fun. Even the octopus having more ink sacs makes the boss better. The final phase, well, I wouldn't consider it better than how it is on expert mode. It's definitely nice to have the fire spinning faster, and like I said, the barrel dropping more often is always a good touch. The lasers happen more often, which means that you're not getting in as much damage, so the phase definitely drags on a little bit. But luckily, all terrible things eventually come to an end. We get set free from Briney Beard.
Yup. Okay, let's do it. 1 HP. Let's go, bro. 2 bosses today.
As much as I enjoyed every single boss fight in Master Quest, Wener Werman is the pinnacle of what a Master Quest boss should be. There's new attacks, massive changes to both the second and third phase, and most of all, it's just really hard. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me tell you about Wener Werman. First things first, his bomb attack and trash fling attack both happen a lot quicker now. I know, go figure, it's Master Quest, obviously things happen faster. I just thought I'd point it out. Werner's dash attack, you know, the one where he throws the springs, you parry them and you go over it, they actually nerf the springs so they don't send you up as high. And this leaves way less room for error and actually adds a good amount of difficulty. And most interesting of all is that they gave Wener a new attack. Anyone who's played the game before knows that there is a firework that Wener uses for his phase transition. Well, the mod turned it into a homing firework attack that he launches at you, which was super cool. On the second phase, they only have one change, but it massively affects the gameplay. They made it so Wener can move back and forth on his little flame machine, and before he shoots fire, he sends out 2 parryable pellets. This phase was really tough, but I found it helpful to just keep a big distance from Wener whenever possible, and even standing on his platform when he was up top. But his final phase is easily the most difficult. Virtually nothing has changed on this phase except for one thing. Those bottle caps on the sides of the screen from phase 2, they now make an appearance in phase 3, and they are a pain. On top of the cat claws, falling objects, and ghosts, we also have to worry about this, which can fully cut off parts of the screen at a time. Whenever Werner did the ghost attack, I find it helpful to just ignore the ghost and stay focused on his head to deal as much damage as possible and get through the boss as fast as possible, which actually worked.
But I really don't think I do. Oh! Oh my god, I thought I died! Oh, I seen him go for the attack and it just didn't click to me. Holy cow, I look pale on the green screen.
Sally's Stageplay has to be the only boss where I struggled to write the script, because I honestly don't remember the fight. Now, that doesn't mean that the boss was all bad. In defense of the developers, they really had nothing to work with. This boss has kind of always been mid-tier, but they did some pretty cool things with the boss. My favorite of them being that the normally parryable pink heart that she blows out in one of her attacks is now black and unparryable, which I thought was really cool. Another good mention is the fact that her fan attack, where she throws the fan on the floor and stays there for a little bit, she can now have 2 fans down at the one time, just to make it a little bit more difficult. The second phase is pretty much the same as the first phase, with the addition of her mouse attack, which she sends out 6 mice instead of 4, and of course the babies throwing the milk, which are unchanged. The third phase was a little bit interesting because since everything has increased health, that means that the meteor she sends out has increased health, and it takes a lot longer to break and expose the parryable star to make it over the wave, which it gets kind of difficult and a little bit close at times. Outside of that, there's just more lightning and it moves faster, and before you know it, we're on the final phase. The final phase is sadly the exact same as it is on expert mode. The umbrella might move a little bit faster, but you honestly can't tell. For this phase, I just used the spread shot to deal super slow chip damage, and we eventually closed curtain on Sally's Stageplay.
Okay! First try getting to the final phase. We beat it. Holy.
I said that Werner was the pinnacle of what a Master Quest boss should be, but Cala Maria is what a Master Quest plain boss should be. So, let's break it down. First, her minions that she can have at the bottom of her screen. She can now summon 2 down there versus the regular just 1. Her yellow electro fish that homes on you and follows you, it now locks on and stays way too close to you, and it's super difficult to get away. Speaking of her fish, she has a new attack, and we love new attacks. Cala Maria can pull out a blue fish, which shoots a rotating thingy. I don't really know what to call it. And this is actually an unused attack in the main game, but the developers brought it back for Master Quest. Her second phase, well, there isn't much that changed. You gotta be on your toes for it, because everything happens faster. And I mean everything. She shoots her freeze ray more often. There are more eels on screen. The eels are shooting at you more often. The whole phase is just fast. And then we enter the final phase. And let me tell you guys, I locked in. This was my first time getting to the final phase, and I had 2 HP. I quickly lost one of them, but it doesn't even matter, because what I didn't tell you guys was that I am a god when it comes to Cala Maria. Every freeze I broke out of in record time, making narrow escapes every single chance I got. All of her floating skulls, they meant nothing to me as I dipped through them all. We really thought Cala Maria was going to be a big roadblock. She's just a piece of calamari.
Oh! Easy boss.
For the last 2 to 3 bosses, I have been attempting the Phantom Express on the sidelines. It's actually a boss that I meant to do a while ago, but I was just never able to beat it. Now, this boss wasn't as bad as Beppi, but there was still hours of attempts that you guys will never see. So, let me tell you about it a little bit. To start, it's basically the same as on expert mode. You just shoot in a straight line, destroying all of his eyes, getting a super when you can. The only difference is he has more health, so the phase is longer, and there's more pumpkins that drop the bricks to move the cart. Other than that, easy. Phase 2. The skull guy wasn't too bad. I found myself only getting hit when I would try to parry the bricks that fell, so I just let them push me around a little bit. Used a super when I could, but other than that, I just got thrown around by the bricks. Easy. The twins, as normal, I focus on one to start, and then use supers every chance I get. I try to hit both of them with my supers just to maximize how effective it can be. And as long as I killed the ghosts as soon as they spawn and stayed on top of the parryables, it wasn't terrible. And once I killed the first twin, it was basically over. Easy. Albert Einstein defines insanity as doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And that is exactly how I felt on this boss, because I could get to the final phase with relative ease. Sure, sometimes I would take a stupid hit, but nothing I couldn't come back from. But this final phase destroyed me. Even though it had the lowest amount of HP, it killed me in seconds every time I got there. My biggest issue was with the bone wheel hitting me all the time, but that can be solved by me just getting better at the game. Another issue I had was my cart always getting moved. but I had a plan for this. If I position the cart in the left corner, I can only get moved if the pumpkins come from the right. So as long as I parry the bricks every time they drop to hit the right of my car, I should have no issue. And once I got this plan, things started going way better. And it all just came down to me getting better at the boss.
Yes! Oh, baby! I almost S-ranked. Oh.
Rumour Honeybottoms is a boss that is normally done first when you get to aisle 3. But instead, we're going to do it second last because this boss sucks. So why do I not like this boss? The first phase can be summarized in one word: boring. Nothing is going on here. The most interesting part is when I get to parry one of the spikes that the police officer throws out. The only bit of danger here is the bee workers coming from the left and right of the screen. Phase 2 is the opposite of phase 1 in that there is a lot going on. Those bee workers from phase 1, they stay throughout the entire boss, so I constantly have to worry about them. And every attack that the bee can do is now doubled, so there's 2 big orbs, 2 triangles, and even more missiles than normal. It's not impossible, and alternating between the lobber and roundabout helps a lot, but phase 2 is definitely not easy. Before we get into phase 3, there's something I want to point out, and that's when the bee is reading her book during her phase transition, you can still damage her here, so this is when I would use my super or spam EX attacks. Okay, now for phase 3. The bee's homing fist attack moves way faster and they lock on way quicker, so they are stuck to you for a while. On top of this, whenever the fists leave the screen, I don't know if they're going to come back in screen or just fly off. So every time they left the screen, I felt it. Every time they left the screen, I felt it was face. Every time they left the screen, I felt it was. Every time they left the screen. Every time they left the screen, I felt it was safe to assume that they were coming back. Outside of that, the saw attack was pretty predictable whenever it would happen. The only difficulty I had here is that I felt that I was never able to get damage in, and all of the moments where I would get hit, it just felt stupid because I was too tired towards the end of the fight. And when bosses take 5 minutes per attempt, this is bound to happen. But eventually, after lots of trying, we do get it. Although it means nothing to the video, I just want to point out that everything that happens in the rest of the video took place in the same 5-hour recording session. Anyways, on to Dr.Khal. Let's talk about the differences first. The obvious ones being that everything is faster, so faster lasers, faster parry doohickeys, and faster miniships. Second, everything has more health, so each part takes longer to destroy and the miniships don't go down as easy as they normally do. I never really focused on one part at a time. I tried to break them as evenly as possible to avoid the difficult attacks piling up on me, but that didn't always work out. There's no strategy for phase 1 because I did something different literally every single attempt, so I don't know what to tell you. Phase 2 does have a little strat, and that's just use the super right away. Normally you can essentially skip phase 2 with a super, but now it has way more health. And the barriers from phase 3 also make an appearance in here, which is super cool. Luckily, phase 3 stayed the same as it is on expert mode, and anyone who has beaten Dr.Khal before knows that once you beat this phase, you are now a master at bullet hells. Luckily, I have beaten Dr.Khal a lot, so I'm a beyond master at this phase. And we quickly show him who's the boss.
The only thing that's gonna make me happy.
Oh, please tell me I was recording!
Is Dark Souls 3 Remastered.
Oh,
What happened, Mac?
I beat the boss. All I got left is Inkwell Hell.
That's right, Past Beaver. All we have left now is Inkwell Hell, so let's waste no time. So, unlike every other boss, instead of explaining every possible attack and outcome in the boss, we are only going to focus on the mini bosses that we landed on for King Dice. So I'm not going to go through every single change because, sadly, there isn't a whole lot of changes, and that's not surprising. We start on the Tipsy Troop, and like I said, unsurprisingly, there's not a lot of changes. I hate to hurt anyone's feelings, but all these King Dice mini bosses are mostly the same, just faster and with more HP. And in fairness to the developers, what did you expect them to do? They can't make a bunch of crazy new attacks just for some mini bosses inside of a bigger boss. So for those reasons, we're honestly going to go through King Dice pretty quick. After the Tipsy Troop, we land on Pip and Dot and just play it like normal. This is one of the boss fights I really didn't want to land on because I just found it takes so long to get through, but it's not a run ender. Third is Pirouetta, and for honestly the first time, I didn't have Smoke Bomb on this boss, so I actually had to use the poker chips and avoid her. She moves much faster in Master Quest, so I needed my timings to be perfect. Another thing is that when her spinning ball attack happened, I found that the opening came super early in the attack, which always caught me off guard and caused me to getting hit a lot. Overall, she was definitely one of the hardest mini bosses that King Dice had. On the final phase of King Dice, I decided to use the safe strategy. And I know that this is going to annoy a lot of people, but I had to use the safe strat where you go behind his hands and slowly deal damage over time. Since I had the coffee charm, this gave me great chances to spam supers. And eventually I did get a little bit brave and tried to do the fight as intended, but I immediately got hit. So we went right back to the safe strat. Sometimes when the plan didn't work, I did end up doing the fight normally, so it wasn't always safe, but this is the most scared I've ever been while playing Cuphead. If I got hit, that's a 10-minute attempt, gone, never to get that time again. But after 10 minutes and 44 seconds, we actually beat him, and all that's left is the devil.
Spam super him.
Oh!
Yes,
Because
let's
if I
go,
mess up, I
man.
die.
Let's go,
And you see all those clears? Each one of those numbers is a
I'll be
mini
back,
boss I have to
Abby, I'll
beat
be
every
back.
time.
We'll fix
That was like 8
Knock
minutes.
out.
Oh,
How
it's just
much
the devil.
time?
It's a
How much
connection
time
host
did you
error.
take?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
That's how... I can't stress how actually crazy it is that we're on the devil right now. But here we are. Sorry to disappoint everyone, but the devil isn't very special. Now that doesn't mean he wasn't hard. It still took me over 3 hours, so don't click off just yet. But there was no pizzazz to him. On the final phase, I noticed his spider attack was for sure faster, but other than that, nothing crazy. Phase 2 is similar to expert mode, but I wouldn't say it's the same as expert mode. The increased speeds of Master Quest definitely came into play here a lot, seeing as every attack is a projectile. I found it especially annoying with the falling poker chips because it just caused me to switch platforms more often than I normally have to. But phase 3 is where my difficulty came. Because when you're dealing with lots of objects on screen and lots of hitboxes, the last thing you want to do is for it to all be happening faster. And guess what the mod does? The speed thing was only an issue with the bats on top of the screen, but the extra health was brutal on the henchmen to my left and right. Normally I just kill the henchmen and then by the time they respawn the phase should be over, or close to it. But because they take so long to kill and the phase is so long because of all the health increases, I decided it's easier to just stay in the middle and ignore them for the most part. Now the final phase. What I'm about to show you is my first time making it to the final phase, but I'm only on 1 HP. So this very well could be the attempt.
Oh.
Oh
my god. No.
Oh, it's 11:30. I
Wait.
can't be loud.
No way.
Oh my god.
Dude, it must be Master Quest.
It's 11:30.
Nice.
How long did that take?
A long time.
No, I mean like.
I was here to witness it.
So, this is the only non-scripted voiceover because I don't even know what I'm about to say. This was crazy. This was over 42 hours of footage. That's not even the moments that I just forgot to record because yeah, that happened quite a few times, which I'm kind of embarrassed to admit. This was just crazy. From the time I started this project to now, so much has happened. I started this in May. It's currently July. I graduated high school in the time between this. And it's just crazy. I can't believe how big of a project this was. And I'm gonna say it. I am encouraging you guys, watch this video 3 or 4 times. Put it on loop while you go to sleep. Send it to your friends. Send it to your family. Please, you guys have no idea how much I put into this video. This was probably 80 plus hours of work on this video. Thank you guys so much for everything. This wouldn't be possible without you guys. I just want to say a really big thank you to all you guys. This is just, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm lost for words. This is such a relief to have done. This video has actually caused me so much stress, but I am so happy with how it came out. And I really hope you guys like it. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart and look forward to what's to come next. Thank you and goodbye.